Hey, this is King El Bey, and you're watching Stop Child Support in its tracks. Um, I'm gonna discuss and tell you how this jurisdictional stuff is coming about, and a lot of y'all are not getting it. A lot of y'all are going in saying that you're the authorized representative in this, and the thing about it is, you should either be the attorney in fact when dealing with such matters, and that you are contracted by the trust to protect, as a trust protector, to protect the rights and integrity of said intellectual property. So let's talk about the name. The name is the intellectual property that we're talking about. And a lot of y'all don't understand when we talk about author. What do the word author mean? So I'm gonna turn to some black laws, see if I can pull up some black laws for y'all to talk about this word author. I'm not gonna talk about intellectual property. Let me see. Let's go to author. Author, one who produced by his own intellectual labor applied to the materials of his composition and arrangements or compilation new in itself. So when we're talking about author, we're talking about you are the author of that intellectual property. And anyone having the authority to enforce your intellectual property, which is your material, your books, your laws, then they have to get the authority from the sovereign who created such information. So you got to look at this word author, because this is where it comes from, authority. Who is the author of these laws? Congress. They are the author. So they have the right to enforce the laws accordingly. So you have to look at everything because they're the author of the laws. So let me break this down to you. And that's why you got to understand public and private, and you got to understand natural law versus public law or statutory law. And you got to look at everything from the word derivative authority or author. Who is the author of this to enforce the law in which you are contracted to follow? So authorities, citations to statutes, presidents, judicial decisions, and textbooks of the law made on the argument of questions of law or trial of cause before a court in support of the legal position contended for. Authority, the lawful delegation of the power by one person to another. Listen to this again. Authority, the lawful delegation of power by one person to another. So when we're talking about persons, you got to remember we're talking about corporations also. So Congress is a person that give authority to other persons, other corporations or institutions or agencies in which to enforce its laws. You got that? Let's break this down. And you got to be in the embodiment of their jurisdiction of the laws, meaning that you claiming to be the person within their jurisdiction in which they have authority over. Let's break all of this down so you can see. So let's go here. And let me go to the etymology of the word author. It says author, father, creator, one who brings about, one who makes or creates something or some things from Old French originator, creator, instigator, and directly from the Latin auctor, promoter, producer, father, progenitor, builder, founder, trustworthy, writer, authority, historian, performer, doer, responsible person, teacher, literally one who calls to grow, a agent. Do you see all this stuff and where it's coming from, this word author? So whoever speak the law into existence holds the power of the sovereign, in which anybody who's coming under that person who spoke the law is under their jurisdiction, who puts it down into a piece of paper based upon he is the creator of the jurisdiction. That's why the owner of the company is the head person that decide the fate of everything unless he delegates certain powers to other departments. You got to understand where all this stuff coming from so you can see how to deal with child support, in which nobody is really breaking down this information to this degree. Because child support is really a private venue, in which under contract you selected to be yourself as an obligator, or was an obligee and an obligator. So what you got to do, like I try to tell people, the power of the pen. Most of the people don't understand the power of the pen. The power of the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword. Because people can contract themselves into servitude and don't even understand what they did. But the good part about it, you can contract yourself out of servitude. Let's move on. Now we're going to talk about the two departments. There is the Department of Health. Now, most of you guys, if you live in my state, you got two birth certificates. So you got the one in all caps, then you got the one in by the vital statistics. This is by, you're gonna have one issued by the health department and one by the vital statistics. Okay? No one ever brings this into evidence. And challenge the jurisdiction of this. Y'all are seriously don't understand, and you don't challenge and say, well, I don't know who allowed or who authorized this certificate because I never signed or agreed to be under this or this jurisdiction. And they got to prove that you agreed by holding that certificate because you're not aware. You're never bringing that one into play. No one ever brings up or talks about the birth certificate in which established the illegas. No one talks to teach you to bring that under the rules of evidence. Let's go to the rules of evidence. So let's go down to evidence. Requirement of authentication or identification. So No one ever brings this one into evidence. Um, Looking at the rules of evidence, let me see. Let me go. Hold on, let's go back up. Self-authenticating evidence. Um, Admissibility. Let me get it here. I'm trying oath or formation. So I want to look. I want you to look at this. Presumptions in general in civil actions and proceedings. In all civil actions and proceedings not otherwise provided by the statute, enacted by the General Assembly, or by the rules, a presumption imposed on a party against whom it is directed, the burden of proof of going forward with the evidence to rebut or meet the presumption, but does not shift to the party the burden of proof in the sense of the risk of non-persuasive which remains through the trial upon the party whom the original jurisdiction was cast. So they're operating off of this, but you have to understand this information. See, now we're going to go down to this. I wanted to show you that. Now let's go down to requirement of identification. We're going to let me go back. It does that sometimes. Uh, Requirement, general provision, requirement of a identification or identification as to condition precedent to admissibility and satisfied by evidence sufficient to support a finding that the matter in question is what is proponent claim. So a lot of y'all don't put in an affidavit. Nobody ever puts in with that evidence put in there and put in an affidavit claiming that they did not agree to such certificate and that they're not a part of that jurisdiction. So most people, when you get the birth certificate by here, they're acting on presumption that you know about that second birth certificate and that you are in a line with the certificate to do business within their jurisdiction. Nobody challenged that. Nobody goes in to say and put that on the record and say, I never agreed to this. Please show me the contract in which I proceeded to agree with this so that you can pull me and adjudicate me under this jurisdiction. Now, that's just some components of what I'm talking about. Because most people ain't going to tell you this because most people are not savvy litigators. Now, there are other documents that we going to, that I did videos on for your religious documents. Because no one can hold you against your consent. So, let me take you to the Ohio law or the Constitution that enforce such right. It says, no person shall be compelled to attend, erect, or support any place of worship or maintain any form of worship against his consent. So, a lot of people don't really understand what this means in the sense of worship. Now, I just told you about the author, the author of the word. The author is the sovereign. He is the creator. It's a form of worship in which you are in honoring the word. So they cannot pull you in their jurisdiction without your consent. And you tell them that you never wish to consent. And if there was a mistake or material, if they can prove that you consented, that it was without your knowledge, and someone would have to come and testify to that. You see, no one is bringing these things into play. We're going to talk about some other powerful weapons of this child support, stopping it in its tracks altogether. But I'll be putting some more material out in there. That's why when I put on how to stop child support, I put certain things in there to give you certain references. If you did the research, you would understood what you need to be doing. That's why some people say, man, this stuff don't work. They don't understand this information. Some of y'all got to stop. If you see, this is what happens. Some of y'all want everything for free or for nothing. And it doesn't work that way. So, I'm going to talk to you about your name being, you being the author of that name, and you being the attorney of fact over that name to ensure the integrity of such information. So I'm going to break this down for you so you can see. So you got to understand that name is your intellectual property. So let's look at intellectual property. It says see intellectual property. Let me go here. Now, intellectual property, a category of intangible rights protecting commercial valuables, products of the human intellect. The category comprises primary trademark, copyright, and patent rights, but also include trade secret rights, publicity rights, moral rights, and the rights against unfair competition. So you got to understand this information to understand how to protect your property from unwanted creditors, claiming that they are a creditor because they provided you with something under a contract that you had no understanding of what you were getting into. See? So a lot of you guys don't understand how to, you contract yourself into it, you don't understand how to contract yourself out of it. So when dealing with intellectual property, which is your name, is your intellectual property, you have value in that name. That name holds a value. And it's, if they're going to do commercial business with that name, saying that you are under contract to perform, that you're doing business in their jurisdiction, you got to protect those rights. And that's what here at Must, that's what we teach you. We teach you how to protect. See, I don't like the term status correction because what is you correcting? What we do is we teach asset protection. Protection of property, meaning all forms of property. And to protect it and safeguard it through contracts and other things through the UCCs to show that no one has the authority or permission to give out such rights that's not meant if you meant by the author or authorized user or authorized representative. You got to understand this. And we have everything you need on stopping child support in its tracks. They're going to try to do all of these different things, but you're going to have to understand something. So, let's go on. It says a commercial valuable product of the human intellect in a concrete or abstract form, such as a copyrightable work, protectable trademark, or patentable invention or trade secret. Wow. Which they are embodied intellectual property rights are distinct and separate from property rights in tangible goods. For example, when a person posts a letter to someone, the personal property in the ink and parchment is transferred to the recipient. The sender, as author, retains intellectual property rights in the letter. You see what I'm saying? The information that you put in the letter is your intellectual property rights. So no one has been teaching us how to safeguard and protect our rights through contracts. The UCCs is nothing but um, a way of um, publicizing your commercial rights, but you can still do it all through contract, and you can perfect your claim or perfect your interest in property. Let me see, do I got that? Perfection of property interest. Let me see, do I got that? Did I think I had that. I think I did a video on that already. I'm not going to go back and cover that. But also, we're going to talk about religious protections that you got to understand. This is public information. So, when you're dealing with public information, you got to understand. It says Congress finds that the framers of the Constitution recognize free exercise of religion as an unalienable right. Secure its protection in the First Amendment to the Constitution. So, when you understand this stuff and how we put it into context and how we're using our information to protect our rights, you got to understand once you put it in the form of context of religion, it becomes unalienable. They can't strip it from you. They can't take it from you. They can't use it in any form or way to diminish your rights. But you got to understand that you can contract your rights away. And you got to understand how not to do that and to protect your rights. And if you make a mistake by signing a contract, you always want to have the right in the by preserving your rights that you have the right to rescind any contract that is not feasible for the condition under your religious rights. Because you got to understand, when you doing business according to the Most High, your walk is supposed to be, I don't care what you're doing, your business or anything else, it's supposed to be in accordance to the Most High. You feel me? So you guys can eventually look this up. Look this up um, under this. Um, I also got to give shout outs while I'm giving this information. Oshamba L and Yusuf L. Um, them brothers have done a lot of significant work in the community and bringing this information, a lot of information forward. I've been doing this, it's going on almost 12 years now. So I've been doing this for a long time. I have been very successful in moving forward with understanding what to do. So you got to understand the rules of evidence. You always heard me talk about you got to understand the rules of superintendent, the rules of evidence, the civil rules, the criminal rules, um, because those are governed by the Supreme Court. Um, the Supreme Court rules. There's a lot of rules that you have to understand and follow because there's many intricate parts that come to this. And once you understand it and you bring it into a simplistic form, you will begin to understand how this works. So this is King El Bey dropping this information on how to stop child support in its tracks. And I will be doing further videos on this information about safeguarding your intellectual property, which is your name. I think I will make that part 2 to this video. So stay tuned. Keep watching. Oh, by the way, go get the book. Support the book. Go to Amazon. Get the book. Stop child support. I won't be putting out part 2. I'm only going to put out 2. I want to put out more, but you got to be careful with this information when putting it out. So go get the book. Go to Amazon. Buy the book. It's only $20. It got very powerful tips in there. And I also got contact information. So if you need to contact me, please contact me. I got powerful information and powerful tips. You brothers is stop being cheap. Let's come together and put an end to this child support fraud, and let's work together in trying to find a better solution for us and our children. This is King El Bey. I'm signing out. Peace and love, and check out this video, and there's more to come. Peace.